This is Ace with RockRevolt magazine. I am here with Henry Derrick of Active Defiance. How you doing today, man?
We're doing all right, man. Hanging in there.
Yeah, just kind of kicking it at home there in Cali, kind of getting ready, waiting out this album release, yeah?
Well, yeah, definitely excited for the album. Just a lot of things going on in the world right now, everything is crazy. I got some friends in Florida. I got some family in Georgia. So, with the hurricane and everything, I've just kind of been, on the edge lately.
Right, as a lot of people are. Just, main thing wanting to hear if those loved ones and friends are safe and secure before you find out the actual wreckage.
Yeah, it's just, and after the shit show in Texas, it just seems like one hit after the other, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. That's crazy. I actually lived in Houston during Katrina when it came through New Orleans, and we had everybody come over from New Orleans. So I got a little firsthand of that. I can't even imagine what they were dealing with the amount of water that they got through that city. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah, of course, man. It's wild. And, a week or so ago, we had some wildfires here, and I essentially had a fire in my backyard because I live in Los Angeles, but closer to Hollywood, right over the hill.
Right.
And, and there's, luckily they got it contained, but it was out of control for a couple of days.
Yeah, it seemed like that whole West Coast was burning, man.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I said. It's definitely been crazy throughout the United States. It seems.
Yeah. We're kind of waiting here in the Midwest to see what tornado season's going to bring us. With as bad as hurricane and all that, we're just kind of kicking back, waiting because we're right through Tornado Alley. So we're waiting our turn. So it's nuts.
Man, crazy town.
Hell yeah. Well, let's talk about this Old Scars, New Wounds you guys are putting out September 29th on Metal Blade Records. That title sounds like it might have a little meaning to it. What's that title mean to you guys?
The title means a lot to me. It was a lyric I came up with in a song called Conspiracy of the Gods. And, that song particularly deals with a lot of, issues. But I just thought it was a great title, simply based upon the fact that I think everyone's fighting their own battle. You wake up every day and there's something on, there's something happening in your life, whether it's, your personal life or with your family or health or whatever. And, you may be dealing with something that happened a week ago or a year ago or 10 years ago. And it's just all these things kind of add up to, become this kind of mammoth, burden after a while. So, and I just thought it was a title that everyone could relate to, and metaphorically speaking as well. You can kind of take it, you put your own kind of personal meaning onto it. But we thought it was a strong title, and that's the one we wanted to go with. So there you go.
Right on. And you guys put out a video for a performance video of MIA. Why was that the first track you guys decided to do that with?
Well, the first track on the album, it has a lot of elements that the band kind of, brings to the table. And, it has a little bit of a new kind of vibe with more of the melodic, clean vocal kind of thing happening. And then, it's a song that Chris wrote, so we just thought it had enough of the, guitar, kind of, virtuosic playing, and then along with the lyrical content, we just thought it would be a good first single. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, absolutely, man. So I mean,
yeah, and I think the content is relevant today. I think it doesn't take a brain surgeon to kind of pick out what the song is about, and obviously from the video you get a better understanding of that. So it's in my eyes, it's just as good of a song as any to put out there for the first single. You know what I mean? It doesn't represent the album as a whole, but it's definitely, a good representation of what we do and what we can do and what we want to put out there.
Right, and speaking of, like you said, it may not be the best representation of the album. Actually, just looking over the names of these tracks on this album, and with you talking heavily about the way our world is today and what's going on in society, I mean, do the rest of these songs on this album kind of make up with that? Because you could almost read into that with the name of these tracks, man. It's like Lullaby of Vengeance and Circle of Ashes, Rise of Rebellion. I mean, those you could kind of almost read in to those if you wanted to. What's your thoughts on that?
Sure. I mean, you can read into any of them, any way you like. I mean, I always leave it up to the listener, or it's really, I don't feel the need to explain myself, because I express myself, through art, and that, to me, that defies any explanation. But, at the same time, I have no problem doing that sometimes. It's just that I might have a different, take on a song as opposed to someone else. When I write a song, I know what it means to me, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean the same thing to someone else. Like, for instance, Circle of Ashes is a song that I wrote thinking about my father. My father passed this year, and I was thinking about him, and I was thinking about, what we leave behind, what kind of legacy we believe, we leave behind, and, how that never dies, how, our bodies may fail us, and we may ultimately perish, but, I think that, the legacy is so important, and in some ways that's bigger than the person. So,
right.
But, at the same time, it could be interpreted many ways. And,
right.
A lot of the songs in the album most definitely do deal with, what's going on in the world today, society, and things of that nature. But it's also very, like I said, open to interpretation, because that's just the way I've always written songs,
Right, and it's cool, it's cool for you to hear that, say, hey, this is what it means to me, but if somebody else wants to listen to it and kind of, create their own meaning behind it for themselves to make it more personal to them, and you're down with that's completely cool, man, because that allows your fans to get a better connection with the band, with the music, when you're like, hey, man, this is what I think, but please, wrap your mind around it however you'd like.
Yeah, of course, I'm not trying to be pretentious or trying to, be anything other than I am, but I want, the listener to have the freedom to, put their own, their own
spin to it, kind of, yeah.
Yeah, attach their own, things to it. I think that's, that's perfectly normal, and that's what I've done, obviously, as a listener, and throughout my life too, so.
Right. So what was the creating process? What was the recording process like for this album? I mean, was it pretty much just the same you guys are used to, or is it just maybe something a little different? How was there any kind of maybe different tweaks this time around?
Well, this time around, we wanted to make sure that everyone had a hand in the writing, and and that's also including the bare bones, just like the riffs and the, everything. We're all guitar players, and we all had a hand in writing the, riffs on the record. Matt wrote 3 songs, riff-wise, and, we kind of came together that way. And obviously Sean wrote a couple songs. Chris wrote, I wrote, and, we just we wanted everyone to be involved, because that's what a band should be, in my opinion, But, it's like, I know a lot of people are really gonna kind of go at it from the standpoint that it's like, oh, well, this is very guitar oriented. Chris must have wrote that, or, this sounds like a riff that Matt wrote. And I mean, honestly, realistically, we all wanted to write as much as possible, but it's like, what makes a record sometimes isn't a competition. It's, we're all going for, we're all trying to pursue the same goal, and I've never had any real problems with that. It's like if I write something and it doesn't make the record, that's fine, because I want the record to be as good as it can possibly be. But
sure,
I was lucky enough to have one of my tunes on the record, and that's Overexposure, which is the second single. But also in writing that, I knew how important it was to have Chris, put his own stamp on it and kind of play it, in his own style. But so that's how things were different this time. I think everybody brought, their own creativity to the band. And, also, it's important to me as well that everyone has suggestions and, when it comes to writing, vocal melodies and things of that nature.
Sure, yeah.
Because it
makes it feel like everybody's more involved. They feel more locked into it. It's just like, hey, we're all a part of this band. We're one unit. We're one entity. It just makes everybody feel good about the product. Yeah,
of course. And, ultimately a vocal can make or break the song. So, if you have an amazing riff and, a vocal line that's just not as strong as it should be, then, you don't necessarily have a good song. So
exactly, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm pretty confident, with my writing abilities. It's just that, I think it always pays to have an extra set of ears. You know what I mean? You don't know everything. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. The tweak of one word, man, can change, something that's just okay into something spectacular. And it's always good to have those other people going, but wait a minute, maybe if we just tweaked it here. I mean, absolutely. And being open for that, that type of support and everything, that just helps you guys grow as a band and makes you even stronger.
Right, of course, and especially considering that we pretty much produced everything ourselves, Dave Otero, mixed and mastered and, everything, but, the pre-production was all done by Chris and myself. And then, I had a friend of mine, Steve White at Red Light Studios, help get the final vocal takes. But, I applaud like any musician, artist, or band that can, produce their own product in the way that we've done. I mean, I know a lot of bands do because, they do it by, it's a necessity. It's like, they don't have any other choice.
Right.
So it's like, they don't have a budget. So this is what we did. This is what we created. This is the product we're putting out there. I mean, I think a lot of people forget about that at the end of the day, especially when you have all of these like boy bands that are, that span all genres, including rock and metal. You have these bands that are put together, specifically by producers, and they're not writing their own stuff. You know what I mean? They're not getting those sounds. It's just fabricated. It's smoke and mirrors, and there's so much of that going on even today, which is just mind blowing. So, that's the one thing. It's like, okay, well, if you're in a band and you're trying to, solidify a sound and you're trying to lock that in, then everyone has to be open to each other's ideas because that's the only way you're going to get anything done.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And you guys have got a pretty good push behind this album. You guys have got a nice little pre-order bundle ready to go. The T-shirts, vinyl. You guys got a vinyl pressed ready before it's even out. A lot of people are getting back into vinyl, man. What do you think the resurgence is on that?
Well, I think, vinyl as a format, sure, it died in, the 90s as a result of compact disc and a lot of, all the major record labels most definitely stopped producing vinyl. But I think for a lot of vinyl purists, it never went away, myself included. I'm a crazy record collector, but I started collecting records when I was a kid. And, I was also fortunate enough to come up during the time when they're, before the internet. I mean, that's what you did. You went to record stores. And
right.
I grew up doing that. And, it's something I still do, obviously. But I think the resurgence overall on a mainstream scale is probably due to the fact that it is kind of somewhat of a novelty thing. You know, like with the kids, like they want to go out and they want to listen to music the way their parents did, perhaps. I think that element of it will go away, which is actually starting to go away. I've seen the number of sales recently this past year have gone down significantly. So I'm seeing it start to dwindle somewhat.
Right.
That and, you know, the manufacturing costs just so expensive. Like to go out and buy a new record on vinyl now, you know, you're looking at, you know, 30, 35, 40 bucks sometimes.
Yeah.
For a record, you know, and I think they're going to have to fix that. They're going to have to really figure out a way that they could, you know, make these things a bit more affordable. But you're seeing, you know, you know it's a thing when you start to see big box stores like Best Buy and Costco and Barnes and Noble and Whole Foods start to carry vinyl records, and that's become somewhat of a thing. But obviously, they're pushing their top 40 releases or whatever the new hipster item is.
Right. Now, do you think the purchase of Whole Foods by Amazon had anything to do with that, with the music?
What's the question?
I said, do you think the purchase of Whole Foods by Amazon had anything to do with them selling records and stuff in their stores now?
No, they were actually, select locations were actually selling records.
Oh, really? Right on.
Before that. Yeah, I mean, man, you know, some of these Whole Foods, especially here in Los Angeles, they get pretty crafty, man. You know, I mean, but now, you know, I think that, like, obviously when a company like Amazon comes on board, it's like, yeah, there's no limit to what they're going to try to sell. You know, they're going to be selling, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if they start selling contraband next year or whatever. You know, it's all about profits and this and that. But
it's all about money.
Going back to the whole vinyl thing, I hope that it, you know, I hope that, you know, they keep producing, that the major labels keep producing new vinyl. I think they will, but, you know, maybe in smaller quantities just because sales aren't going to be there in the next few years. That's just my opinion.
Right on. Absolutely. Now, what are you guys going to be doing as far as support for this tour, man? I don't see any tour dates up anywhere. Have you guys got anything in the works? We got any plans going on? When are we going to see you?
Yeah, we were supposed to get out there October, but, you know, things changed beyond our control because that's what happens in this life. And, you know, the industry is a beast, and you can't, you know, you can't call it sometimes. Our goal was initially to be out there when the record was released, but that's not happening, and we don't want to get out there and just jump on anything close to the holidays.
Right.
Because that's just, you know, that's not sensible these days. You know, in 1985, maybe you could get, you know, people out, but now it's, you know, people are feeling the pain close to the holidays and everything. So we want to get over the hump of the holidays, and we're going to hit it really hard next year, early 2018. So that's the plan as of right now. And, you know, we obviously want to be out there as much as possible, but we want it to make sense as well. You know, we did a lot of shows on the first record, and, you know, we put ourselves out there, and that's just what you got to do. And we want to keep up the momentum. We want to do the same thing. And so we'll be hitting the road, you know, early 2018.
Right on. Hey, man, and that's going to give you guys more times to plan everything out. And like you said, put you on some better deals. Hell, maybe get you set up for some festival season rounds. You know what I'm saying? Just be able to get yourself out there as best as possible. You're not going to feel rushed into anything. You're going to be able to make the smart decision for yourself.
Sure. You know, I mean, we're ready. That's not an issue. It's just, you know, getting the opportunities that present themselves. I mean, there's no shortage of bands out there fighting for the same tours and this and that and the other. I mean, it's, you know, the struggle is real, as they say. But, you know, in terms of us, you know, getting out there. It's, hey man, we're ready.
Well, you'll get out there, man. You guys, like you said, you'll get out there first of 2018, man, and just get out there and do what you do. Get yourself in front of everybody, and let this album speak for itself for a while. Get everybody more excited. Well, they say absence makes the heart grow fonder.
That's what they say, but I mean, in my mind, we haven't been absent. We're here. We're the new record's coming out. If people can just wait, get over the hump of the holidays, and we'll bring it, man. We want to get out there and bring it to the people, because that's always been a huge part of, music is just playing live, especially a band of our capacity. You know what I mean? We get out there and we do it for real. There's no trickery.
Right.
We put it in people's faces, and I think as long as there are people that still want to see live music and they're still hungry for that, we want to be out there as much as possible.
Oh yeah, man. Well, is there any message you want to give to the fans before we let you get on about your day?
All the stereotypical BS that people say, but yeah, mostly just, check out the record. If you like it, most definitely buy the record. Support bands, support local bands, support musicians, support anyone, trying to be creative in the climate today, because it's, it's so important to put positive vibes out there into the world, and just, support as many people as you possibly can, with their art and their music, and especially if you like it, buy it in some format, put your money down. That's a vote. Every time you go to McDonald's, you're casting your, you know what I mean? You're putting your vote down and you're saying, hey, I approve of this company and this product. And, that may or may not be relevant to the masses, but, I think when it comes to music or any kind of art, it's valid, like, all around. So that's it. We'd just like to thank the fans and thank you, for the interview, and thank, anyone who's out there supporting, live music and, real music in 2017.
Hey man, well, thank you guys, and like I said, it's kind of a two-way street. We as fans and everybody else, thank you guys for putting out the music, and keep, like you said, the struggle is real, but you keep doing what you do for yourselves and for all of us out here listening. So man, it's right back at you, man. Thank you very much for taking the time today, and can't wait to hear the whole album when it comes out, and hopefully we'll be seeing you in 2018.
No doubt, man. Again, thank you very much, and you'll be seeing us. We're going to be streaming some live stuff when the record comes out on the 29th, and any news we have, we'll put it out there in people's faces. So, all right, thanks again, man.
All right, Henry, you go have a good rest of the day, bub.
Cheers, man. Take care.
All right, later.